I am Bijwender Singh, a truck driver from Punjab. I'm used to long, lonely journeys across India, but this one was different. My usual helper was on vacation, so I was alone on this trip through the dense forests of Bihar. It was already dark when I entered the jungle. My truck's headlights were the only light, cutting through the night. The radio had lost its signal, and the sounds of crickets and other night creatures filled the air. The forest felt alive and watchful, making me uneasy as I drove on. Fatigue started to creep in, so I decided to pull over at a small clearing by the road to rest. As I shut off the engine, an eerie silence descended. I reclined my seat, ready to sleep, when a sudden, bone-chilling cry pierced the night. Startled, I sat upright, my heart pounding. I peered into the darkness, but saw nothing beyond the reach of my headlights. The cry echoed again, a mournful, heart-wrenching sound that seemed to carry the weight of unbearable sorrow and agony. Summoning my courage, I stepped out of the truck, clutching a flashlight. I followed the sound, my instincts telling me to turn back, but my curiosity compelling me forward. The beam of my flashlight flickered through the dense foliage, casting long, sinister shadows. Then I saw her. A woman stood by the road, her figure illuminated by the pale moonlight. She was dressed in a tattered sari, her long hair disheveled, and her eyes hollow, brimming with despair. My breath caught in my throat as I approached her. "Do you need help?" I asked, my voice barely above a whisper. She nodded, her eyes filled with sorrow. "Please, can you give me a lift?" she said, her voice echoing with a haunting sadness. I hesitated for a moment, but then opened the truck door, and she climbed in. As we drove, I glanced at her periodically, feeling a strange mix of concern and curiosity. She sat quietly, staring ahead, her hands clasped tightly in her lap. After a few minutes of silence, I asked, "What's your name?" "My name is Kavita," she replied softly. I noticed her clothes were torn and dirty, and there were bruises on her arms. "What happened to you, Kavita?" I asked gently. She took a deep breath and began to speak, her voice trembling. "I was traveling through this forest when my car broke down. I was waiting for help when a group of men found me. They attacked me. I tried to fight them off, but they were too strong. They left me here, in this jungle, to die." Her story sent chills down my spine. The pain and fear in her voice were palpable. "I'm so sorry," I said, my voice trembling with emotion. "What can I do to help you?" "Find those who did this to me," she implored. "Bring their deeds to light, so I may find peace." With a solemn nod, I vowed to help Kavita. I dropped her off at the nearest village and watched as she disappeared into the night. Over the next few days, I gathered information, spoke to locals, and pieced together the horrific tale of Kavita's fate. My determination to seek justice for her grew stronger with each passing day. The evidence I uncovered was handed over to the authorities, and soon, those responsible for Kavita's death were apprehended. The news spread like wildfire, and the jungle of Bihar was no longer a place of fear, but a symbol of justice served. A week later, I decided to visit the village where I had dropped Kavita off. I wanted to see her and let her know that justice had been served. When I inquired about her, the villagers looked at me with bewilderment. "There is no woman named Kavita here," they said, "but there are stories about a spirit named Kavita who haunts the forest, seeking justice for her brutal death." A chill ran down my spine as the realization hit me. Kavita was the spirit all along. One night, as I drove through the same forest, I felt a presence beside me. I glanced over and saw Kavita, her face serene, her eyes filled with gratitude. She nodded, a silent thank you, and then faded away, her spirit finally at peace. I continue my journeys, but I am forever changed by the encounter. I carry Kavita's memory with me, a reminder that even in the darkest places, there is light, and that justice, though sometimes delayed, can be achieved through unwavering determination and courage.